Today we're going to learn how to make an incised pinch pot. If you haven't seen my video on wedging, make sure you see the video on wedging before you start working, because it is imperative, profoundly necessary, to wedge your clay before you start working. If you do not, you risk air bubbles in your clay, which could cause your piece to burst as it is fired in the kiln. Okay, so I've made basically a little meatball here. That's all you have to do to make a pinch pot. You can throw it back and forth. That's my preferred method because I can cup it and form it at the same time. This pinch pot I'm going to make rather tall because I want a little bit of a cylindrical form. The way I do that is I control how my hands are placed, because our hands are our best tools. They're wonderful tools. I form my fingers and thumb like this, and I squeeze all the way around. And what I'm trying to do is to make the walls of the pinch pot of even thickness. These are the walls, the sides of the pot. Okay, so again, I'm keeping those fingers nice and straight while I'm squeezing around the piece. If you have any seams like this, you can just smooth them out as you're working. It'll make it easier in the long run because they won't split as you're working with the clay. You want to work fairly quickly with this method because you don't want the heat of your hand to dry out the clay. Now, one thing beginners have a tendency, and I think I've shown you this before, to do is to make the bottom of the pinch pot too thick or leave it too thick. So you'll have a wonderful pinch pot, and when you pull it out of the kiln, the bottom will be sheared off or cut off from about here where the pencil is to the bottom. So the way to eliminate that is placement of your thumbs, and I call this the crab claw pinch. Pinch it like so, okay, at the bottom. So you're sort of pinching it out, and at the same time you are creating a nice flat bottom. All I want to do is show you incising today. And incising again means cutting into. So we're cutting into the clay. Okay, fairly smooth here. Let's get the bottom. Smooth those big cracks out. Make sure again it's nice and flat. When you tap it onto the board, make sure you tap it onto a dry spot. If you tap it onto a wet area on the clay board, then it will stick. So don't do that. Alright, so here we go again. I'm going to tap the top. Okay, not too shabby for a pinch pot. Now, the best thing to incise a pinch pot with, this is a burr, I'm getting rid of it, is a pencil. A pencil which is slightly dull. At the moment, I'm going to wipe off the edges of the pencil so it's nice and clean. And I'm going to go ahead and make teepees because I think teepees are cool. So I cut fairly deeply into the clay. Every once in a while you want to get the gunk off the tip of the pencil because otherwise you're ending up with just lots of gunks of clay in your piece. Okay, now I think I'll make a Native American sun. There we go. More gunks. See how you're always cleaning this? Now as you can see, some of the clay is coming up to the top of the line. These are called burrs, these things here. Not a problem, because after we've finished incising into our piece, then we can remove them once the piece is leather hard, and all we have to do is just wipe our hands over it or sand off the burrs with a piece of sandpaper. So this is incising. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video for a minute so I can concentrate on my art instead of my words, because my words always interfere with my art. Language is a left brain function which interferes with right brain creativeness. So I generally do not talk when I'm working.